All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second edition of the YSLC Podcast. I am your main host once again. My name is Milan, president of the Youth Service and Leadership Council, and today I'll be joined by Fafa from Model Provincial Assembly, and of course, our new guest for today, Mina Lin from YSLC Eswatini.
Yay!
Yay! Hi everyone! Welcome to episode 2.
If you guys don't mind, would you guys like to reintroduce yourself once again?
Yes, okay.
Sorry, you go.
Okay. Hi everyone, I'm Fafa. This is my second time on this podcast, and yeah, it's great to be back. I do MPA and also Spreading Sunshine, and I'm interested in Model United Nations.
Hey, it's Mina. I'm from Waterford. Same school as Milan. It's my first time on the podcast. Yay!
All right. Anyways, I suppose would you guys want to go straight into the agendas for today, the 4 agendas?
Yes, let's go straight into it.
All right. So for the very first one, the role of the youth in local and international politics. So I suppose with regards to this topic, it is as we move forward and in this more and more connected world, this is starting to play a larger role, especially. I don't really want to say this, but also the truth is that universities, they also really like to encourage people to do this, say something through a simulation of their own country's parliament, say in the UK they have a House of Commons, a youth House of Commons, or in the EU where they have the European Youth Parliament, and of course, as a lot of us might have heard of, Model United Nations as well. I think this is something that's starting to get more and more attention these days. So yeah, would you guys like to perhaps speak something regarding to this?
Yeah. To those of you guys who are listening to this podcast and do not know what Model United Nations is, essentially it is a simulation of the UN, and essentially there's the General Committee and the Special Committee. I know Milan specializes in the special committees, but I'll just explain overall what it is first. So for the UN, right, there are 6 main organs of the UN. There's DISEC, ECOFIN, SOCOM, FECPOL, the Legal Committee, and the Admin and Budget Committee. And yeah, essentially students or different individuals role play as different countries in these committees in a Model United Nations simulation. So essentially you work together to come towards a resolution. Yep, I'll let Milan explain the special committees quickly.
So for the special committees, it usually tackles something similar, and it also tackles some things that, say, in the UK or Europe might have that is separate from the from MUN, but perhaps in countries like Thailand or those roughly in the area of Asia would include them into one MUN conference. Say, for example, we have the European Parliament or something called UKPC, which is pretty much just a youth simulation of the House of Commons, or we might have a simulation of the US Senate, and also we might simulate organs which are technically part of the UN, or something that works with the UN but is very, very different from the usual MUN, for example, the International Court of Justice or the International Criminal Court. So that is how the special committees work. Usually the rules are different from normal committees because these are often unrelated to the usual UN. However, as I've said before, some of these, they do work with the UN, but they work quite differently.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's very well explained. And yeah, I would like to ask your thoughts on why do you think it is important for youth to actually participate in these types of activities in which would allow them to role play as different individuals representing whether it's different individuals committees like HSOC or countries?
Well, to me, I do believe that this is very important, as in this world where we're starting to become more more interconnected, and also the fact that we're facing more and more global issues together, it is crucial for the youth to start to understand how international politics work and start collaborating, and also take views from countries that they may not agree with, so that we can see how we could train them to become future leaders. And like, even if they don't have to become like representatives in the UN, they just have to gain that skill and also gain the awareness on world issues, so that they could work together with people no matter the skill, be it at a global scale, at a regional scale, or national or local scale. This skill that they earn, and also the knowledge that they gain from participating in MUNs or mock parliaments, will help them to understand the issues that their community is going through, and also build them the necessary skills to collaborate with people in all those skills to help us through this period.
Like, I agree. Like, I feel like awareness on like global issues are like really important for youth to kind of understand and gather, because like as a Taiwanese person, I feel like a lot of people, because we're like so safe in our environment, we never like step out and understand what's like happening globally, even what's happening like nationally, like in politics and whatnot. So then when it comes time for them to actually like vote or like do things, don't really know what they're doing, and they don't really give it like a big enough space. Like, they don't see it as an important thing. Like, it's kind of like problematic.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I do think that there's like some stigma concerning education within politics. That being said, there's like a lot of youth these days that aren't informed of what's happening around the world. And yeah, like you said, when it comes time for them to vote, they're not actually informed just because, oh, I'm of age. This is my time to start learning about what politics in my country is. By then, it's kind of too late, because they don't really know what is the history of it and how things have come to be the way that they are. Therefore, yeah, to make more informed choices, then it's essential to start early.
I would like to also add, like, for example, I would like to bring up Thailand. I do believe that most of the youth don't even know much about Thailand's infrastructure initiatives, say the SRT double track initiative that plans to connect Thailand to from Bangkok to Chiang Rai, Nong Khai. I think one in Ubon Ratchathani and one down south to Malaysia. I don't think most people do know about this initiative, despite it having been around for several years, and also the massive economic impacts that it will have on Thailand. And when, say, the choices, so I would I can stay neutral here, but like with regard to the debate on the construction of the double track project between the usage of meter or standard gauge, most people don't even know the pros and cons of both, and they just let the politicians decide without making a fully informed decision. So I do believe that it is a very good time for the youth to also gain the skills and also have an experience to start researching into their local politics as well, outside of international politics, as it could also greatly improve the decision making that they make on even something mundane, such as building new tracks, maintaining trains or roads, etc.
More on local politics, I feel like, I mean, from my perspective, I can only talk about like Taiwan, and there's this thing where they were deciding whether like 18-year-old, oh my god.
Are you alright, Mina?
Okay, whether 18-year-old can vote on a referendum or a 20-year-old. And at that specific one, 18-year-olds are allowed to vote. So that's more like specifically on youth. And what's surprising on that is that I feel like Personally, I feel like 18-year-olds voting would be like a really good thing because you'd be able to see perspective from like the like different generations and how they view things. But then what surprised me is that the results of that referendum is that 18-year-olds, like more 18-year-olds vote that they shouldn't be able to vote because they feel like they don't understand issues well enough and they don't feel like their brain is well developed enough to make these kinds of decisions.
Yeah, because
So
like a lot goes into making these decisions, like history and like why the infrastructure is that way.
yeah. So then, Milan, what's your thought on like age and like voting and stuff?
Well, in my personal opinion, I do believe that 18-year-olds should be able to vote in a society like in Thailand. We have not. I think it is a well. I'm not sure, but in my opinion, I think we do agree that Thailand is still a developing economy. However, we are starting to face the issues of an aging society, and that would probably be a good idea for us to rather than taking away more voices from the youth, we should grant it to them so that they could also voice out their concerns and also how they want to envision the country. As the voices from the youth continues to decrease in Thailand just due to the demographics already, it perhaps would be crucial for younger voters to, as I've said before, research, participate, and most importantly, be able to voice out their opinions in politics, and also other than voicing it out, be able to actually make change with that opinion. And thus, I do believe that 18-year-olds should be able to vote, and their political rights should be respected.
Yeah, because like the youth today shape the policies of tomorrow, and essentially legislations regarding mental health, the environment, and stuff like this, we would be the very people who would be the future of our nations. Therefore, I believe that it is essential at least to like start educating yourself early within these issues. If you guys are listening to this podcast, definitely look into it because this is something that's not really taught within the education system. And yeah, so the source of information in which we get is from the media, news, people around us. And yeah, it's essential for us to be wary of those and also actually be willing to learn from it and stay informed, as we would be the very people, even if it's like a very small thing, we're essentially shaping towards like a huge decision that is going to be made for our nation.
I certainly agree, which is also why I would like to encourage everyone here to really research as well. Like, for example, I'm about to also bring up like a big debate within Thailand with regards to nuclear energy. In a country which will be experiencing the side effects of climate change very soon, that debate is very important. And unfortunately, due to a lack of research, there hasn't been an environment where people are able to properly debate the pros and cons of the implementation of various types of nuclear energy. And I do believe that it is going to be very important for us to also do a lot of research and increase our participation within politics. All right.
Yeah. And we should be aware that like we're not here forever and the generation before us isn't as well. So yeah, I think that kind of branches into our second topic today, which is like physical and mental health, right, Milan?
Yes, indeed. All right. Do you want to take the floor, or do you want me to take the floor?
You go ahead.
All right. So I think so this is not based on any official statistics, but rather from personal observations during my times in school. But unfortunately, as time passed, the issues regarding physical and mental health has been increasing within the youth, which at least within the communities that I have been in, and usually it's also quite linked as well. For example, I would like to share the story. I will not let out the name of who it is, but I used to know someone that actually who used to be a very bright student, like straight A's, very good. This person was, I say, like, most people thought that this person would probably get like a scholarship to an international school and go abroad. But unfortunately, due to mental health strain coming from, say, parental demands, expectations on the career that this person had to go through, being jailed and barred from doing the passions that they want, this person had a mental health spiral. And eventually, let's just say, this person's physical health was also affected. Say through, well, through this person's lack of sleep, for example, which has led to a weakening in the immune system, and this person has been facing quite a fair bit of issues with regarding to this person's physical health, especially in the area of in terms of like catching the diseases, etc., due to a lack of rest.
Yeah, that certainly proves that mental health is an incredibly important thing to preserve. And yeah, a lot of the times it is not prioritized within youth. I know, like you said, some of it is because of parental demands, some of it may be from school, some of it may be from just peers around you in general. But overall, there has been a stigma within mental health, and I believe slowly we are trying to eradicate that stigma, and I believe that's really beneficial towards society in general, because mental health is very correlated with physical health actually. And essentially, this is me trying to say that if your mental health is bad, there's a high chance that your physical health would be as well. An example would be if you're incredibly depressed, you might not get enough rest, you might not be willing to eat, you might not be willing to go out and exercise, something like that, in which we have to realize that we don't have the body that we have right now forever. We don't have the legs to walk forever. Like, this is our time to actually take care of our bodies, eat well, sleep well, and actually know that we have limited time to nurture our bodies in the best way possible before we lose it forever. So yeah, if you guys are watching this, and okay, I'm one to talk because I'm someone who hasn't really been sleeping well recently, and I know a lot of you guys who are watching this might be experiencing this as well, whether it's because of school or because like you have a lot of projects to work on, something like that. But yeah, we have to realize that it is important to place importance in these things in your life. Okay, let me just make a little analogy. Imagine if you were offered $10 million, but the condition is you weren't able to walk the next day. I reckon that most people would not take that offer. So that means that your ability to walk right now is worth more than $10 million, or maybe even more than that. So yeah, take care of it right now before it's too late.
I certainly agree, and I would like to also bring this back to our first topic of like the role of the youth in local and international politics. Mental health issues has been a global, wide-reaching issue, and I do believe that it is very good for the youth to also start to like promote or encourage governments to perhaps work on programs to help with people's mental health. And also, I am not sure if this is correct or not, but from what I've heard, improvements on from physical or mental health, and mental health, they do go hand in hand. So if we can like perhaps encourage people to also increase their participation in physical health related activities, just like maybe a simple exercise, and also like try and also to launch programs to try and help help improve their mental health. Perhaps we could also we would be able to improve on both degrees quite well as well. especially in a world where, as I've said before, like the youth, there's a large portion of our population who are currently going through a lot of mental health strain right now.
Yes, definitely. Because the government and the country in general plays a role in making us be informed that it is very important, and that they also play a role. Going back to our first topic, the youth have the responsibility to shape the legislation for the next generation. And what those legislations do, I'm going to bring up Chloe Swarbrick. She's the youngest New Zealand parliament, if I remember correctly. I might be butchering her name right now, but yes, Chloe Swarbrick, she's the New Zealand Parliament at only age 23, and even though she's very young and very close to our age, she's played a huge role in shaping the mental health and drug reform legislation within that country. And I think that we can really learn a lot from her, in the sense that even though we're young right now, if we start researching early, we could really be able to make an impact on the next generation, not just for ourselves, but for everyone who would continue the future as well.
Indeed. And, well, this may or may not sound little bit political, but I would like to say, like, that there have also been good progress with regards to the first topic as well. Like, for example, from what I've seen, with Thailand, currently we do have some of the youngest political leaders in Thai political history. However, like it is good for us to have that, and also perhaps it would also be better for us to continue to promote, say, like having the youth play a bigger role into politics, not just in Thailand but also like in other countries in the world as well. Like for example, I think right now Thailand, for the position of prime minister and leader of the opposition, we do have people who are the youngest for both position right now, right? At 37/38. Yeah. So I feel like we have made a lot like good progress on having the youth take a leading stance on politics. However, like if we were to perhaps like tackle like say the first topic for the agenda today, but not the second, that still isn't inclusive of the issues of the youth that the youth is facing right now, and it's best for us to like work together and continue to pushing for reforms. Continue and to like push the interest, because like these topics that are affecting the youth right now are not just affecting us today, it is also like affecting those that come before us, the older generations, and it probably will affect those after us as well. So it is best that we start to work together to create measures to deal with these issues so that we can create this long-lasting effect where we can effectively tackle these issues and reduce the impact in which they have on our societies.
Exactly. I think that's very well said. Yeah. Speaking of which, branching into the next topic at discussion, which is essentially misinformation, I think what the topics in which we're discussing today are kind of all interconnected anyway. Um, yeah. So regarding both mental and physical health and the role of youth in politics, there is a lot of misinformation regarding this, and yeah, whether it's something like fake news in the media that a certain food could help someone lose weight, or eating a certain diet can really help one gain muscles. I'm sure if you're listening to this, you've probably seen something like this before. Yeah, there's a lot of misinformation within the media and within the news, and it's really important for us as youth to really be able to scan and use our better judgment before just following some random TikToker posting, oh, how to lose weight in 50 days, something like that.
Indeed, which is why I would like to bring us back to last podcast topics with regards to trends on social media.
Oh, yes.
Yes,
Yes.
with regards
I
to that.
remember that time.
Yes, so I do believe that this is like a very big issue as well with like I'll also link this back to last podcast as well, with regards to trends leading to quite a fair bit of misinformation, especially with regards to what's going on across the world as well, with the news, etc., etc. I do believe that perhaps it would be in the best interest, perhaps for the youth to also do some research. For example, I do understand that a lot of us like to get information from Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, but also with regards to those platforms, we have also seen that a lot of them do have influence, perhaps directly or indirectly by say social media influencers, or it could also be through state and non-state actors, which may not have the interest of factuality in mind. So perhaps it might be, say, for example, in the best interest with regards to topics on conflicts going around the world, to look through sources such as through the United Nations, or for those who are a bit more tech savvy, or those who are interested into open source intelligence, please feel free to do that. But also, I would like to advise that it is rather prone to misinformation as well. Or perhaps people could also work on, say, apologies. And also perhaps like the youth could also look at, say, for something more on the health sector, please do check warnings by health agencies, as some lose weight campaigns or these health related TikTok diets that they hand out may actually be quite harmful towards the person's health. So perhaps it is a good idea to also check national health agencies of not just their own country, but those from different countries who are facing the same things as well, and also organs like the World Health Organization.
Precisely. Mina, is there anything you'd like to add onto that?
There's something I'd like to talk about related to the topic. So basically for mental health, I used to think that, like, just generally in my, like, opinion, that Asia is, like, not the best place to be in if you're, like, in a lot of pressure, or, like, just, like, mentally, it's not, like, a great place to be in. But then recently in Taiwan, there's, like, this new policy where, like, if you really need it, you can have 3 free therapy sessions from the age 15 to 45. So, like, if you really need help, there are like places that works together with the government that gives you free therapy, and you can ask for, like, long-term things that could help you, like long-term, what is it called, like long-term, like what kind of techniques that would help you in the long run, and they would help, and they would do that. And I feel like that's, like, a really big improvement from let's say maybe 10 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago. I feel like it's, like, a really big improvement in the community and just in the country in general. Yeah.
Yeah, I do think that that's a really great initiative that is being implemented, especially because a lot of the youth these days aren't really willing to talk about these issues because there's a stigma, and they believe that, oh, once I reach out and ask people for help, I have a problem, or there's something wrong with me, I shouldn't really talk about this. And that should definitely be eliminated in society.
Indeed, I do agree. And also, Mina, what is your stance on the spread of misinformation amongst the youths? Yeah.
For health or just in general?
In general, I briefly touched on, like, say, with conflicts, where I do advise people to perhaps take a look at also more credible sources, or if you're a bit more tech savvy, you can also try something with regards to open source intelligence.
I feel like there has been, like, a lot of, like, misinformation kind of delivered to youth in this generation, because I feel like with the internet, social media, AI, and everything that's going on, it's really, really hard to, like, identify what kind of information that has been given is factual and what is not. You kind of just are just absorbing all these, like, information everywhere, and there's not really enough time to like think and like to be like, is this right, is this wrong? You can just kind of take them all in. So I feel like because like social media right now, it's really fast paced. I feel like it really helps to take the time to kind of like slow down and kind of just think to yourself, like, is this actually true or is it not? Or just kind of like go out of your way to actually do research or kind of just understand the topic that you're kind of understanding. But also at the same time, maybe what you're trying to do is not to get factual information. You're just trying to relax. But then it doesn't help because everything that's been thrown at you, I feel like it doesn't even relax you. It kind of makes you more anxious. So yeah. But then also like even with like things information given to you that's not like social media and everything, I feel like it's good to like question everything as well, because not everything everyone says is true. Even like teachers, maybe books and whatever, there's always room for errors and there's always room for improvement. So I feel like question everything. If you see like countering opinions or countering statements, maybe look into that and like figure out or like see which side that you actually believe in more.
True. I definitely agree. Like stuff that are extremes or incredibly like outrageous are what gets views, are what gets clout. So it's what would oftentimes be on your For You page or in the real page in which you scroll. And yeah, that is the stuff that you see on your page as well is tailored to you. So yeah, they're collecting your data and you have to be aware of that, definitely.
I do agree, and also I do believe that like perhaps for relaxation, we should also like start to promote something that's more like regards to like partaking in exercises. Perhaps take a stroll at the park instead, because with regards to social media, as it becomes more and more more and more politicized, or people doing more and more, let's just say, less than safe challenges, it perhaps would be in the best interest for people to perhaps consider the other alternative ways to relax as well. I would like to also touch on the last topic, so that could also help with regards to their mental and physical health as well. And speaking of which, I would like to also touch on the next topic about investment for the youth. So, I mean, first of all, as we were talking about health already, I think it is very important for us to continue our investment into our own physical and mental health, and also promote our politicians to also further invest into the youth with regards to that, and also other fields as well. Mina, Fafa, you guys have any opinions on this?
Yes, definitely. Like other than what Milan has mentioned, there's also investing in one's own finance. I know we kind of really discussed this in the first podcast, and I'm great that we're touching on that again. Yeah, whether if you're like 16, 17, 15, it's essential that you start investing early because, okay, essentially this is my opinion, but I know a lot of people would agree with me. It's that the quote, money buys happiness. I believe that the quote is true because, okay, what's going to pay for your hospital bills if you get sick? What's going to pay for your surgery? The quote, money does not buy happiness. I believe that is utterly false because, in the end, if that quote is true to a huge extent, because if you get sick one day, if your parents get sick one day, if your family, friends get sick, um, it's money that's going to save you. And another thing is that once you start early, when you get older, this would be a lot easier for you. For me, I believe that one of the best ways in which you could educate yourself more on investing is through self education. Maybe it could be YouTube or Google anyway. But like for me, I've started with stocks, ETF, and crypto. Going back to the misinformation page, while this is essential, it's also good to be informed that some of these YouTubers and TikTokers are spreading false information regarding these stocks and ETFs. So yeah, it's good to be informed.
Well, To me, I mean, I don't exactly agree to the fullest extent with that, with the quote that money does buy you happiness. But I do agree that it is necessary to have an income to pay for your bills, etc., etc. Although maybe full blown, like, you know, like $20 million probably won't get you happiness if you say, for example, if you work at your factory, sleep there until, and like you have a ludicrous sleep schedule, which is why I'd like to also touch on our previous topics where health is very important for the youth and also anyone really, because of course, like, you can have a lot of money, and you can pay for your bills, but also you should also take care of your physical and mental, physical, mental, and social life as well. Especially with also like interacting with people, perhaps. But with regards to investment, I do agree that that perhaps some degree of knowledge into investing would probably be a very beneficial thing for the youth. Although, as Fafa has stated earlier, I would like to also reiterate on the concerns of misinformation as one of the topics, as there are a lot of advertisements and people on YouTube who have been promoting those to invest in their platforms, which, well, let's say aren't exactly the best. Meanwhile, for me, I haven't exactly engaged in crypto. However, I have been engaged in, say, things with regarding to gold. And yeah, gold and some stocks. However, those are the ones abroad, which I would not like to disclose for reasons, as I do not want to expose my portfolio. But if we speak about investments on a different scale with regards to like education, for example, it is very crucial for us to also promote our local, regional, and governmental and international politicians to start to perhaps promote education more. As in this world, like, as the world is quickly changing, where I'm about to also touch back on last podcast topic with regards to financial literacy, and also with, like, say, new inventions, such new inventions, which has promoted the knowledge with regards to IT as well. Our education system is currently in a lot of countries, like for instance with Thailand, is not exactly able to catch up to those trends so far, and it would be very crucial for us to promote more investments into education for the youth, but also on an individual level as well. Do what you can to perhaps research into these areas, so that the youth can also increase their opportunities within the workforce and also be able to adapt to the ever-changing world.
That's true.
Would you like to say something on this, Mina? Oh wait, Fafa first, I guess.
Yes. Okay. So I believe that even though people say that money is important, like Milan has mentioned, it only applies to a certain extent. For me, my end goal of like making money, I want to use it to do impact within this world. And I know Milan, who does YSLC as a nonprofit, also Mina, you have to agree that these nonprofits require funding in order to fund these initiatives in which you would use to do good in the world, whether it's your food projects, whether it's helping the homeless, whether it's educating people in general. These initiatives require funding. And I'd say it would be my goal in life to at least help over 300 people become non homeless and actually have a home. And I think that this really requires money and this requires funding. And yeah, if not, if you have money, you can't just like use it to buy materialistic stuff. I mean, if you have a huge amount of funding, I'm just saying that with those fundings comes options in which you could take, comes opportunities to help different individuals who might not be as fortunate as you, who might not have as much in their bank account as you, and actually change lives, give them food, give them shelter, and improve people's lives in general. So I definitely, if I become a billionaire one day, I definitely give back to the community within those ways.
Oh, thank you very much, Fafa. And anything from you, Mina, regards to investment for the youth?
I feel like like what's impacted me the most, or like what I feel more strongly for in terms of like investment money wise, I feel like insurance is like a really good thing to invest in. Even like you never know what's gonna happen to you, and like Fafa said, whenever you go to a hospital, at times you didn't need money. Whenever like basically whenever there's like a big crisis, you kind of do need money. So then I feel like insurance is like a really good thing to invest in. Just like you're putting money in, you never know what's gonna happen, and it just feels safe to have something there. But also like other terms of investments, like maybe stock, maybe like other stuff. There are also like good ways to like put your money to use instead of just opting for like materialistic stuff. So kind of just like adding a little bit and like summarizing a little bit. Yeah.
All right. Well, for me, I guess I would like to also touch on the first topic once again, with regards to remittances as well. I do believe that infrastructure is very important as an investment for the youth. This is a bit less obvious, but perhaps like for example, if we do invest into parks, for example, where local communities can go out there to exercise, that could help the physical health of the youth and also the community in that area, and that could also affect the mental health, which would also help out the people in those communities as well. Furthermore, if we, for example, were to invest into infrastructure, like for example bike lanes or buses, where we can get people out of traffic, that could also help with like increasing the amount of engagement that people are able to have. For example, if someone were to take the bus or the train, for example, they would perhaps have more opportunities to talk to new people. Also, they don't have to go through the stress of being stuck in a metal box for 2 hours in a 10-lane highway in the middle of a city. I do believe that we all do agree to that. I don't think it's exactly. Yeah, I think it's pretty stressful for you to be stuck in a car for 2 hours in the middle of a city. So perhaps it'd be a good idea for us to also invest into infrastructure that to promote that. For example, if we do create cities that are more like, say, more human scale and human centric, we could also get people to perhaps interact with their local communities more. We could also open up more areas where people can reach without the usage of a car, for example. And we could also promote more businesses, which would soon be taken over by the youth. And thus, I do believe that actually investment into infrastructure, which may seem like a really odd thing, that might not relate to the youth, might actually play a very big impact on improving the livelihoods of the youth throughout the future, not just for our generation, but also for the next one, so on and so forth. However, I do understand that this is quite pricey. Infrastructure is very expensive, although the long-term impacts from this investment could greatly help our societies move forward throughout the future. And I do believe that this is something that's more universal. Like for example, in European countries that have done that already, it has shown that it is very effective. So I do believe that it might be a good idea for us to also start implementing these in countries such as in Asia. But before I move on, I do agree, but I do understand that in some countries it might seem a bit ludicrous to have bike lanes. However, something like, for example, buses might also work. Like, for example, in Thailand, where you would boil to death if you were to bike in the day. But you get the gist.
Yeah, precisely.
All right. So yeah, that's my stance on investment. Not exactly the straightforward definition, but I do believe that investment into things that are less obvious would also be very important for us in the long run.
Yeah, I like that we branched out into many topics within this podcast, and yeah, I really enjoyed today.
All right. I suppose, all right, do you guys have anything else to add before we wrap it up for the day?
No, but I think that's all.
All right. Thank you very much, I suppose. I would like to thank you guys very much for joining today's podcast. I will still apologize for this being a little bit shorter than usual, but I hope to see you guys on the next episode soon. I will try to get us to improve our upload schedule. We're trying to get it sorted right now for our listeners. So stay tuned. And I suppose this is me, Milan, your host, signing off for today.
Yes.
Bye.
Click like and subscribe, guys.
Adios.
See ya.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
Bye.